From the very start, I knew that it was you. Say that you'll be my shining star forever. Take my hand, I wanna walk with you. Hold me close, I wanna dance with you. I wanna dance with you. Say that you love me. Baby, let me love you, love you, love you. Baby, let me love you, love you, love you. Baby, let me love you. Say that you love me too. Pendulanje, newe choyenge wapenduka. Duvewe chatalala, nambelanje nditalala, kungoye. Ngulumbwana wayatalala. Baby, let me love you, love you, love you. Baby, let me love you, love you, love you. Baby, let me love you. Say that you love me too. Pendulanje, newe choyenge wapenduka. Pendulanje, newe choyenge wapenduka. Duvewe chatalala, duvewe chatalala. Ngulumbwana wayatalala.
Yeah, welcome to our 12th session from Virtually Yours, the last of the year, but not the least. So welcome, Zukiswa Wanner, welcome, Nozizwe Cynthia Jele to our session. It is your floor.
Thank you very much, Detlef. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm very honored to have my friend, my fellow writer, my sister, award-winning Nozizwe Cynthia Jele, author of Happiness is a Four-Letter Word, which won the Commonwealth Best First Book Africa region back in 2011. And it was turned into a movie, and there's a follow-up on Netflix, which I just saw last night, called Happiness Ever After. And as well as the Sunday Times shortlisted The Ones with a Purpose, which is the book that we shall be discussing today. Welcome, Nozizwe.
Thank you so much, Zuki. Thank you so much for the invitation. Oh, I'm glad you saw the movie. Yeah, I'm still to see it, so.
What? I thought you'd see it immediately after I came out, friend.
No, not yet. I haven't seen it.
All right, please watch and we discuss.
Okay.
All right. Now, I would like you to start us off with a little reading from The Ones with a Purpose, and we can then get into our discussion.
Okay. Is there a particular place that you'd like me to read?
Surprise me.
Oh, wow. All right. I'll read just the first page of, page 31. So it's the second chapter. We do have a history of cancer in the family, because I think that's just really sums up what the story is really about. I'm sorry for my voice. I have a cold. I've been having this cold for the last 2 weeks.
Should we be wearing masks?
No, I tested. I'm fine. I'm negative, so I'm okay.
Thank you.
But you can wear masks for extra protection.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna read on page 31 for those who have a book. It's Dr. Tusi found a lump in Figile's left breast 8 months after she gave birth to Bafana. My sister was 31 years old. I had gone over to Figile's house, as I often did in those days, to drop off basic groceries and relieve her of baby duties. I also had my own good news to share, having finally taken the pregnancy test that morning after my period was a week late. I wanted her to be the first to know. As I approached Figile's kitchen, I was greeted by aromas of rosemary and lemon and spices. I found her sitting by the table, surrounded by mounds of chopped vegetables. Figile gestured for me to place the bags on the sink counter. What is it? I asked, examining her face. Having cooked for Ma, Mbuso and I threw out her tins instead of loitering with friends, exchanging notes on boys, and writing pop music lyrics in A4 college exercise books. Figile loathed cooking. In the early years of their relationship, Tiza had complained about Figile's lack of domesticity, the absence of rich meat stews and pap and Sunday 7 colors at the lunch table. And when it was clear that Figile was not yielding to his pressure, he had told her jokingly that she shouldn't be surprised if he went elsewhere to be fed like a man should be. Figile had snorted and said she would be a cow, that even if she cooked all day for him, he would still go out and poke his penis in other women's vaginas.
Thank you for that. I remember, of course, the first time that I read this book, and I immediately, of course, sent you some messages about it. And it was pretty much quite different from your debut. And you really dealt with serious issues in your first book, but in a light way. In this way, you dealt with really, really serious issues. You didn't write in a heavy-handed, preachy manner, but it was one of those sobering type serious. You still managed to keep that light way of discussion, so much so that I didn't feel like, oh my God, I need to put this book down and whatever. But why did you decide to change the way you did it, the way you wrote, with the second novel?
The two formats. I guess sometimes some of the stories, the stories come to you the way they come. It's sometimes you tell it from the perspective of different characters. Sometimes it's driven by one character with the view of of other characters. I think it just comes as it comes. So with Happiness, perhaps the other influence with the first one was I was in my mid-20s. I was reading a lot of literature by women, for women, and I was also watching a lot of TV series, a lot of movies about women of a certain age that are just going through life and their experiences. And I think maybe the influence then came from that era and from what I was reading and how it was written. The sobering part about The Ones, and I'm glad that you picked that up. I mean, you cannot not pick it up, but for me, The Ones came at a time when I was just realizing that there's something wrong with our generation, like we are not well. We are not well mentally, we are not well physically. I mean, there's it's just going through a phase where so many people that I know, we're facing like major health challenges. And I wasn't sure what was causing that, you know, and I was just wanted to reflect on that, like what could be causing that, and how are we dealing with that, and what could be the worst case scenario. And for those, what happens then in the worst case scenario, which is ultimately would be death, and then what happens to those that you leave behind. But really, the ones was really driven really revolved around how you know, the things that I was experiencing, the things that I'm seeing, things that I'm reading about, things that I'm observing that are happening to our generation. And it was sobering for me, and I had to put it into context because it was happening to friends of mine. Even I had a near-death experience. Now I laugh about it, but at the time, you know, it was quite sobering. So yeah, and that was just the whole point of just kind of like taking stock and kind of reflecting on where we are and the things that we deal with at this particular age of our lives.
It's interesting that you say that about how we are an unwell generation, because I remember the first time that I read The Ones with a Purpose, I was thinking how selfish Buso was for living. And then, but in subsequent reads, most recently, obviously this week, as I was preparing for this chat, and I was having a conversation with a woman who was an academic here in Kenya, and she was saying to me, you know, the thing about, because you see, we had a whole lockdown last year and schools were off. And after schools were off, just to put it contextually, after schools were off, then this year the schools opened up in Kenya. And one of the things they said, the calendar year has been going on for quite a while, and students are going to school for like 4 or 5 months without a break, you know, or a 1-week break. And it's exhausting, particularly if you're coming out from a lockdown where you weren't going to school at all. So it's another extreme. So some of the things that have been happening is students have been like, there's a school where students just, they left the school, they walked out, and they you know, they left the school, they walked out, and they said, they sent a message to the principal, and they said, we'll text you when we're ready to come back, but we need a break, you know. And so with that in mind, I was thinking about Muso quite a lot, and I was thinking about how our generation tends to take quite a bit of the abuse, and, you know, we're told to to hold on, to be strong, to be brave, and whatever, whether it's in relationships, whether with our parents, with our siblings, with, you know, whatever, because this is your blood relative. But Buso, now in reading him again, I like the idea that he chose himself. He was choosing himself by saying, you know what, I'm not staying with you all in your toxicity. I'm choosing to be happy, and I don't want you all there wherever, you know, whoever I'm going to be with and stuff. Was this something that you deliberately chose to do? Was this like commentary on AMA 2000 millennials, or versus me and your generation? Or was that just like something that I read myself without, you know?
Yeah,
and you didn't mean
it was more, I like that. That's another, it's another good point, but it was more referencing to gender and the roles that a girl child and a boy child are expected. You know, girls, they don't leave situation. You can move yourself out of a situation, but it always feels like you're always thinking back home. Boys, you know, it's entirely up to them. They decide. So it was around that, and I had these 3 characters. I had one figure who I put through, you know, she basically just became the mother and the father of his siblings. And then you have Anele, who's the middle child, and she's so torn between wanting to go, wanting to stay, and her life just, and in the end, I mean, that's just like her whole life, just being torn. And Mbuso, who chooses himself, who's so angry with his mother, and what he felt was he feels was he did not, he was not given to him, and therefore his way is that he's just not going to deal with this, and he's going to create a new life for himself, and that's what he does. But it was more around just the gender, and but I think you're right, with the younger generation. I even see it with my 4-year-old. If things don't work for her, like she's not there. Like she's just, she's just like you remember you at 4. You were a yes person. Everything that you were told to do, you never questioned. Here you have to answer on so many whys, and if it's not satisfactory, like it's not gonna happen. But I just think, it's the generations are choosing themselves more. But also I guess it makes sense also, the opportunities are also much bigger for them, than the world is much wider for them than it was for us. So we also had those constraints in how we were raised, also our parents in how they were raised. So but Mbuso does, it's a boy thing, but it's also a young person's thing.
And you also, you deal with cancer, which is pretty, that's the overlying issue, but you have a lot of really, really disturbing subplot as well. One of the things that you touch on is, and which has been mentioned, is domestic violence, but you do it in a very different, you give it a very different perspective, because this is domestic violence, but it's not husband to wife, it's child to parent, and I was thinking about it, of the, I've seen this happen like in the townships and stuff where, maybe like a son treats their mom in whatever, but the mom still loves, this is my baby, this is my son, and, I keep sometimes wondering whether, is this something that we need to do, just have a workshop with our mothers and say to them, okay, you know what, can we talk about how you enable certain behavior from your boys, or what's going on there,
Yeah, it's such a difficult subject, this one of mothers and their children and their boys
and their baby boys in particular.
And they're always their baby boys. That's the problem, right? And I mean, I see it even like a lot of things. I always reflect and see it with my mother and my brother. Sometimes you say something and you can see that, okay, now you've erred on the wrong side. Leave that mess alone.
Leave her and the baby alone.
So I think there is I don't know, but Zuki, you also are a mother of a boy. I don't know. You can also reflect in how you work with him, in how what you tolerate of him, and just how you are molding him to be this person that he needs to be in order to make things different. But it was important for me, I guess, to. It just came. It just came with all that anger. If someone is bottling all that anger, it has to come out. And in most cases, it does tend to come out in a violent way, and it comes out on the person whom you love the most. It's kind of like how in relationships, you find couples, and it's such a mind-boggling thing how people who actually love each other one day and the next day they're like enemies, like they can't stand each other. So it made sense that Buso's anger will come out, and in the most violent way, and to the person that he loves the most, but to the person that he feels wronged him the most. So yeah, it was that. And it's just also the reaction. For me, what was also interesting is just like when they go to the police station, and they just laugh.
They do the typical abused person thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when you say the person he loves the most, I want us to talk about that as well, because like, I mean, like later on, it's almost like she's replacing him, but you don't get that right from the beginning, like, because she's got postpartum depression, and this is the child, and you dealt with that very beautifully, by the way, because the book is set in a township, but this is not an issue that's often talked about, women having postpartum depression, and this happens. She's had 2 girls, has been fine with them, and then suddenly 3rd child, boom.
And I think she was never okay, but also with the 3rd child, she loses her husband, right, when the 3rd child is quite young. And so all of that, like, because she's moving. She has a first child passes away, she has 2, and it's life, and then it's just moving. And also she's just bottling all this hurt, and then when it happens, eventually she also breaks. But I think with the boy and the postpartum depression that she has was, it was just like a trigger for her, because now you have this boy, and she remembers because the first child was also a boy, and just it just brought back those memories, and she couldn't bond with the child, but and because Mbuso loses his father quite early. I'm sorry if I'm giving away too much, but I hope you guys have read the book.
Well, you haven't given away too much. I don't think it's capable. I don't think anybody is capable of giving away too much from the ones with a purpose, because it's got so many layers. You have one of the things that you do is how you give it so many layers that it becomes so difficult to focus on any one thing and saying, oh yeah, you've given away because you mentioned this particular thing. So but anyway, go back, let me allow you to finish it off.
I think what I was saying is that because his mother is the only figure he knows, is the only, when his father passes on and he was still young, so he looks up to his mother, right, as he should. And even though his sisters basically raise him, but it's his mother that he yearns for, and it's his mother's love that he yearns for. So it was that. So the love that I'm saying that Mbuso, I mean, his love starts and ends with his mother, and he shows that in many ways, and I suppose the anger then also just demonstrate that. I can't remember what else you were asking. You wanted me to talk about.
Yeah, where I was gonna go to was actually I wanted to hear what has been readers' reactions to the idea and another idea that you bring forth in this book, the idea of alcoholism and the way it's perceived in women versus in men. And I'm thinking here of teaser versus the mom, and how that reaction is. So, what has been the reaction in say book clubs? Because I know this has been a big book club hit in South Africa, at least. What has been the reaction to that particular thing? And where are we? I mean, we are from a country that puts posters which says, gone are the days when girls used to cook like their mother, now they drink like their father, so constantly it's like women are being punched down on. But what has been the reaction in book clubs?
Look, I mean, I think with book clubs, it definitely is one of the discussion points, and that we don't really talk about it. Usually if a woman is, in most, you know them, in this house and that house, there is that mom, there's that gogo who drinks a lot, and you don't go around that house at around a certain time, because by that time she's just usually here and she sees you, she will give it to you, but we talk about it and we laugh through it, right? And we never really try to think about what is it, what has
Interrogate it, yeah.
interrogate it and just think about
Yeah.
what could have happened, what could have led that to that situation. Kind of like we do it dismissively. Oh yeah, there she is, and laugh. But with Ma, and I wanted to bring that because it happens. Like I say, like every second, three houses down, there's that woman, 3 houses down. But the way it's spoken about is quite different to the man. You know, a man will just and people just don't really give it a second thought. But if it's a woman, yeah, it is spoken about and harshly. So with Ma, we're just trying to go back to say, okay, this is a person. She has a life, and this is what it's like forcing people to try and understand this person, because by the end of this book, there is no way you come out of this book still feeling like, okay, this woman was irresponsible. There's absolutely no way, if you've given yourself time to understand and time to understand her journey. And women, you know, they go through a lot. Our mothers go through a lot of stuff, have gone through, you know, I sit with my mother sometimes, and I sit with her and her sister, and when they say things that they say and they talk about, they all want me to write their story, obviously, like everybody else.
Because why are you a writer if you're not writing about your family members?
When they have stories for
when
days,
they have best-selling stories.
Exactly. But they've gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, they've gone through a lot of stuff. We discuss our stuff, like we talk about it. We've found ways to safely talk about it. But for them, they didn't have the space to talk about it. So I hear it now. And things like that, you know, what is it? You've lost a child. Yes, it's the weekend. We bury Monday. It's back to work. It's back to, you know, go back. The husband is waiting. The children are waiting. You have to go back to your normal mommy duties, and just things just move on like that. There's no time. There's no counseling in our communities. What is that? You go and sit and talk about your issues. There's nothing like that. And even they themselves, among themselves as siblings, they don't share that much, if you think about it.
No, they don't. I was thinking about her relationship with her sisters, you know, with Aunt Betty and, you know, so it's, but do you think that it has something to do with, you know, I keep thinking of our mother's generation as the Mbukodo generation, you know? That generation where they were told you need to be strong, you need to, you know, bekezela, you need to like whatever. And then so of course, in this particular issue, this mother is not true to type, and she doesn't. Can everybody please mute apart from Nozi and I, because we're having some background. But so they come from this generation where they're told to, you know, bekezela and stuff, and this woman then is not true to that particular type. And you know, I was wondering also to myself, I was thinking to myself, but I'm not sure whether you were also trying to do that, because even in her choosing to go to the drink side and whatever, you know, I'm sure, I mean, initially I don't think she chose it, you know. Initially I thought she was just, you know, like she wanted to numb this. But I was thinking, was it maybe like also like a form of her choosing herself, like, okay, no, Yazene, I'm tired, I don't want to deal with anything, I'm done, you know. And but then of course society says, well, as Tonde says in the comment, society which is unashamedly patriarchal judges women harshly for infractions which men are given a free pass for, you know. Was that perhaps something that you were looking at, or was it just because, well, you know, this woman, well, yeah, she's had it tough, but yeah, tough, get it together, mama?
Well, for me, it was like
because you deal with her with a lot of sympathy, you know, which I really liked, and empathy.
Yeah. It's like if you go for years with a wound that you do not treat, I mean, it's not going to get better. And so for me, it was natural for her to just go down that hole. And she went down that hole for 20 odd years, and she just couldn't come out of it. And I think that was also just another way of highlighting that these issues don't just magically disappear. You know, it does. For her, it took Sizwe's, it kind of like took Sizwe's presence in this family, and then to start feeling like, okay, this is her family again. I think also Mbuso's, as much as she was out of it, I mean, she's drunk almost the whole time, but she was still hurting. She knew that things were not right. She knew that her family was not together. And abaphelelanga, you know, she knew that they were not there as a family. And so it had to take some form of an outsider whom she then took as, you know, as her son. It had to take that person to come back in this family to kind of try to make it, you know, okay for her to and to start coming out. But maybe the thing that I didn't explore, which now I'm just looking in hindsight, I could have explored, was just the relationship between Sizwe and Ma. I think she started I think they spoke
A replacement
more.
son.
A replacement son, yeah. So he, you know, he felt her, she felt him, and it was enough for her to start picking herself up, and just to start building her confidence and to start being alive again. But yeah, it's the whole thing that issues must resolve themselves. You know, I think I was just trying to highlight that things don't resolve themselves. And I was also, again, with Ma, just taking the worst case scenario. It goes beyond numbing your pain. It could go beyond numbing your pain, and it just becomes your life. And at the end, it just, you know, you just become almost like a thing, because you have no sense of place of being. You contribute nothing. Instead, you are a liability to these children. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking as we were talking about the replacement son that a friend of mine was telling me how her mother always takes the side of her husband, you know, as opposed to her, like, yeah, my mkwenyana type of thing. And I kind of got that vibe as well from Annele's mom, you know. But then, you know, with all that and everything that's happening and stuff and everything, quite a few of the guys in this thing just turn out to be like, yo, like rubbish bins, you know. What was that?
Really? I don't know. I felt. No.
Seriously, think about it. Look at Caesar, look at Muso, look at, you know, only the Ankonyana and whatever, and the children who are underage, you know what I mean? But yo, guy.
No, I somebody asked me that, but I don't see it. I felt that for me, this was the most representative of men. That's the best I could do. In terms of representing men, you had teaser on the one end of the spectrum, who is just teaser, and then you have Uncle Majaha on the other hand, and then you have everybody in between. I just
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, you can choose your yeah, it was. And I think that's just also in life. I mean, that's how it is. You have men that are pro women, and then you have guys that are just you know, they're choosing themselves more over at the woman's expense, and then you have men that have made mistakes and are dealing with them on a day-to-day. Because Sizwe and Mbuso, for me, they are your regular guys. They make mistakes, they repent, they make mistakes, but it's like a constant struggle that they are dealing with to be better person. So they are working more to be better people. But yes, they do make mistakes. So I didn't think that I had written trash men. I just wrote ordinary men who have trash tendencies. But there is that at the end of it, there is just that willingness to be better, to be better persons. in the same way that the women are, right? Because also these women are not, you know, goody goodies.
No, but you know, I think there's a certain empathy that that maybe it's because I'm a woman. There's a certain empathy that I feel like I can actually like justify all the actions of the women and
Yeah.
stuff. In a way, I can't justify some of the guys' actions, hey?
I'm sure guys can
Yeah,
do that.
okay,
Yeah.
if they
Yeah, I'm sure
can,
guys
so
can do
what
that.
I
But
say, you know?
yeah, no, I was really intentional about that. I think also just in all of my writing, I try to be intentional about being reflective and not giving a one-sided character. You know, so just really be balanced and because that's just how life is. You get your yeah, you get this men that are just like bad, and then you get really good people, very few, but they are, and then everybody, and then you get everything in between. Yeah.
All right. Then the another really interesting subplot that you deal with, and you just some of the things that you come with, you just touch on them, you know, you touch on them, but then they get us all reflecting so much because I mean, we saw it in Intersections, we've seen it in quite a lot of literature, but there isn't, and we've seen it in society actually in a lot of schools, because I remember dealing with it when I was doing some school visits in Limpopo. You know, teachers, male teachers, taking advantage of vulnerable students, female students, and generally in such situations, the teacher gets a pass. You know, the teacher gets a pass, and most of the time it's like usually like child-headed household, or they're being looked after the granny. So if they take advantage of a child, then she gets pregnant, they don't report it because, well, you know, who's going to look after the child? And at least he buys us groceries and he does this and he does this. But you then decide very decisively to deal with it, where family says, no, this man is a pedophile, you know, he's done this to our child, and we are going to report it. But you bring in something very interesting immediately after that, which is how messed up the South African legal system is, and how suddenly dockets get lost and stuff and everything in a country that brags about having one of the best constitutions in the world. What was going on in there? Were you feeling very cynical at a time? And, you know, because I'm thinking like in comparing your two different books, one was like where breezy and hopeful and what you call it, and then the other one is like, it's almost like, you know, a South Africa, one was written during, you know, when we'd been sold the Kool-Aid of like, you can be anything that you want to be. And then this other one, you wrote it when you were like yo, Zuma, you know, type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, and the despair of it, you know, shows with like the things that are supposed to be working. What's going on? Well,
Exactly.
and now, of
It's
course, we have
like
no electricity.
all is not well at home, right? Yeah, right. It's that. It's just like, no, all is not well. It looks like it is, but all is not well at home. And I think with that, it was important for me to have a family that takes that stance, and then and to be let down. But because in many cases, that's what happens. I don't know. There are very few cases of where perpetrators have been brought to book and, you know, they've been made to account. Very few cases. In most cases, things just disappear. And I mean, you can go back to even cases that have had media profiles, just like what happens. Nothing really happens. So that is the reality of our situation in this country, and it's depressing because in the end, nothing happened. Nothing happened to Teaser. He just then decided to cash his pension, money, and he continued to live, his life. So there was there was no punishment for him, and the family was just left like that, and he continued to live. But I think what also was what I wanted to introduce with this too, which kind of leaves people conflicted, was just the whole thing about Tiza taking advantage of Fikile. But then they end up together. Right, so it wasn't the normal, the perpetrator takes advantage of a young person and they disappear, or they don't know anything and they're out of their lives. So she works so hard to get this guy, and then the subject then it shifts away from what he had done to Fikile, right? You don't think about it a lot. I mean, you think about how his trashy behavior
up until that case comes up, you don't think about it.
Yeah, but there's also that thing with because now he married Fikile, so all is well. And I just think like just also how much of like we put so much emphasis on certain things, certain things you can look away because at the end he married her. So whatever the embarrassment, whatever this predator behavior that he had shown towards her, somehow it's forgivable because he does the right thing by her, and he marries her. So I guess with this book, maybe I wasn't feeling very
you weren't feeling very positive,
optimistic and patriarchal and all of those things. But yeah, it's really not all is well at home type of situation, and it's just time. It just gives us, and this is what is good with book clubs, because it gives people time to reflect, and everybody identifies with one situation or the other, and it becomes interesting because you end up being like so quiet and just listening, because everybody now, there's a situation in the book that somebody feels very strongly about, that has affected them, and things that we don't really talk about.
Just to answer a question, Daniela, you asked when will the movie be released in Germany? It's actually on Netflix. It came out, the release date was 10th of this month, 9th or 10th, right? 9th.
Yeah, you mean the follow-up to
Happiness Ever After. It's on Netflix, so you can catch it on Netflix from anywhere in the world, I think.
It's very glamorous, Daniela. I know Daniela from my life back then.
To know.
It's very glamorous. It's very
good
optimistic.
To know. Thank you very much.
It's opposite to what we are talking about. It's you're gonna see Johannesburg and South Africa in the most beautiful way.
Absolutely, and you'll see the people in a very different way too. But yeah. Anyway, so you won like award for like happiness. You won an award for happiness. You also got the Mnet award, innit? And then there was like a slew of awards. Then you come with the ones with a purpose, and you're shortlisted. So like you're like a bona fide, like, okay, we need to look up to you, because you're doing the things. But then you go and you do a master's in creative writing. Why did you need it? Because you're doing a master's in creative writing at East Anglia right now. Why?
Yeah. It's that whole thing, like you don't know what you don't know. Like it's not quite working out the way I had planned. So I really needed to take time out to really, I've always felt, I wasn't sure. I just wanted to test how my writing will fare in other places outside of South Africa. The South African market, I know it knows me, but I just wanted to extend, I just wanted to explore other markets. And for me, the best way was first to understand, just to understand the art itself and to go back to the basics. And most people don't know this, or they do know that, but most writers, you know, we not necessarily have a qualification in literature or English. For some of us, there's something that we pick up in life and we just run with it. But I felt that I couldn't move forward. I felt like there were so many things that were missing in my writing. And you see that when you read other people's work, and just like the way they write and the way they have a way just of describing, of expressing themselves, of writing, in general. So I just felt like maybe it was time to just, before I started any new work, just like pause and go do the basics, just really understand creative writing, really understand the pieces, get into a space where I can workshop my work in a group setting with people who do not know me, and just like understand the international market a little bit more. So that was the intention, and also the main thing was also I was meant to leave South Africa and go to the UK, to Norwich for a year.
So the main thing was for tech South Africa, really, basically.
No, it's the immersion.
And then COVID happened.
It's the whole immersion. So the whole thing about the MA or MFA is it's being immersed in that course. It's being in that moment, being in that space. So I wasn't there, which meant I only got a third of it, to be quite honest. The workshopping was quite wonderful, but I didn't read as much. I didn't write as much because I was still stuck here in South Africa. So I just still feel like I need another year where I can go away and actually do the other two things, reading and writing, which I didn't get to do last year. So I'm kind of feeling that, maybe next year I still need to do something outside of South Africa.
A fellowship, a residency,
yes,
something.
I think that will be good, just so that you can immerse yourself, in that world and in that space. But it was good connections. Just, you do meet with agents, and you understand what they want. So at the end of it, you realize that there are people too. And and like, what
does that mean? In the end, you realize that people too.
No, I mean,
what does that mean?
No, because they're just like those gatekeepers, so it's good to see a person and like, okay, so when that letter comes or that emails come with the rejection, we regret to inform you, and they're like, yeah, go dye your hair green, sort of thing. It's okay. No, it just
no. Also, why is it that? Because Sia has okay.
Rejection, agents, rejections and agents. But when you sit with them in that kind of like a very friendly, not pitching anything, they're just telling you who they are, what they want, what excites them. It just gives you a different perspective.
Okay, so one of the greatest worries that I've found writers have, and I wanted to know whether this is a concern for you or whether it's like, nah, I've just learned more things regarding perhaps like masters in creative writing and whatever. One of the greatest concerns, I've discussed with people is that they will lose the story for technicality, for technical whatever, where it's like, okay, let's push the technical side and because when I've done workshops, I sometimes can actually read a book and I can read a short story from somebody and I can say, okay, this was actually written by somebody who did an MA in creative writing, but particularly the ones that are in the States, because there's a certain aesthetic you know,
Mm-hmm.
and because I personally enjoy stories, I'm then like, okay, but
Stories over
it's written,
form.
it's written, it's written beautifully, but
Where's the story?
where's the story, you know? So were you worried about, you know, am I going to lose the story? Or, you know, I'm sure I already know how to write the story. So this one is just going to be able to enhance my stuff.
I think it depends on what you want to get out of it, and also just the way they are taught. It's quite different. Where I am, there wasn't any focus on technical, like there wasn't that focus on technical writing. Obviously, when you discuss in workshopping, so a lot of it was, yes, when you discuss in workshopping, when you're workshopping your work, there's different things that people would look at, like, I didn't feel this, I didn't feel that, I didn't feel. So like there wasn't, we didn't have lectures, and I think that depends on the school that you go to. So we didn't have lectures that say, okay, right, class, today we're going to talk about plot. It kind of comes out in your story, and then someone would say, yeah, so it's that kind of workshop. And I suppose that's the beauty of workshopping. But for me, I needed that. I needed the technical aspect, and I think that's what I'm busy with now, just kind of going back, reading some material, because I can tell a story. Stories I can tell, but you need to be able. So for me, where I also needed was more on the editing side, and just being able to pick up things that I would ordinarily would have missed. But you know, but the thing is, when you do MAs and MFAs, you come out, and I saw someone also tweeted, was also on the class. You come out like feeling, I think the first few months you have less confidence than you were when you entered the program. Like you just think your writing is shit. And I think you're just paralyzed by all this. You're just so overwhelmed, and sometimes you don't write for a little bit, and then you get into it.
You get back to it. You're just maybe like just reading.
Yeah.
So did you?
But I do think that it's don't rush it. My thing would be, if I were to give an opinion to anyone, it's don't rush into it. Do your own, do write and release your work
at your own pace.
and your own, and then when you get to a point where you're like, okay, now you can do it like a formal education to fix whatever you feel still missing in your writing. Do it, but don't do your bachelor's and then jump straight into MA without having work or writing experience. I think just write for a few years and then go and do the MA or MFA afterwards. I think you just get better value.
Okay, so here's the thing. Quick question. In when you were doing the workshops, did you ever get into a space where somebody gave you feedback and you thought, what type of feedback is that? Who do you think you are? I've got a Commonwealth award. What do you have? Did you ever, like, where you're just like, that's impunity?
No, not once. I think what is nice about this is people take this seriously. You may have youngers, because I was probably the oldest in my class, but they didn't know this. I think one day they'll see my age and they'll be so shocked. Everybody takes this seriously, and they give you, like, it's very constructive.
And you go there on the strength of what you've submitted, right? Not on the fact that, you got all these awards and whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Nobody really knows you. And I went through that whole course. Maybe it came out once, and the workshops, they change. You change groups every semester. But you go there obviously because you have a shortcoming, or you feel you have a weakness. Otherwise you wouldn't be there if that's going to be your attitude. So if you're going to go there with that attitude, maybe fix it first. But what I appreciated, and I know people have complained about ruthless these can be. I don't know. I wasn't in. I felt mine was quite constructive. And sometimes some of the feedback, you take it, but you don't have to. You don't have to use every feedback.
You don't have to. It's kind of like when an editor gives you editorial advice, isn't it? You're just okay, this one I really want to keep this character the way it is because my name is the one on the cover of the book. But there's a comment here from Zukiswa Cynthia. I'm sure you were the only already award-winning writer in a creative writing class, because the Commonwealth Award ain't no joke. But respect your humility in going back, because not many would do this. I would just like to add that, that humbleness thing is so overrated. I think you need to brag more, friend. And on that note, we're almost coming to the end of our session. But thank you so much. It was such a pleasure. Do you have a copy of the one so you can hold it up? Because I gave mine to Abubakar and I need to buy more.
Oh, and
there you are.
I'm glad he read it. It's available. I think there is exclusive books in Namibia. So go get it. You should have it. If you don't have it, you can ask them to order it. It is available on Amazon as well, on Amazon.com, Amazon.uk. It's also available. And if you're still struggling, you can call Zukiswa. She'll organize.
Because she knows everything.
Because she knows everything and she knows everyone. she gets things
and
done.
While the fun part of our show, which is where we pick up 5 winners who are going to win a copy of The Ones with a Purpose. Right. Our first winner is Judith Waguma here. Judith.
Yes.
Is Judith
yes.
here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh my God, why are you winning so much, man?
Oh, don't ask. I'm just so happy.
Oh, congratulations, Judith.
Thank you.
Next winner. You're luck, Nozi, because this is the first time that I've picked up a winner and they're immediately there. Well, and your mate wins, Daniela Kruger.
Yeah.
Daniela.
Yes, time to read. Thank you.
I didn't fix this. Daniela is in Germany, so I have nothing to do with it.
You have to.
This has levels of bot rigging.
Do I get a special signature from Cynthia? Is she gonna give a signature on the book?
Can you arrange, friend?
All right, I'll organize.
All right, fantastic. She will organize. She says, well, third winner. No, see, these are kind of like at least two people you know. Third winner is Tonderai. Are you doing anything here? Tonderai Chindiko is our third winner.
Wow, I win finally. I thought my winning.
Your winning streak had ended.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm your lucky person. You know that.
Yes, you are. You are. And the comments, I think, also made the gods make me win.
See yourself. And our fourth winner, Everest Wangoya. Everest Wangoya. Is Everest here? Going once? Going twice?
Our Everest.
Okay, our Everest.
Our Everest.
Tony Odhiambo is our next winner. Tony Odhiambo.
Is there?
Is Tony here?
Yes, he's here.
He's in the audience. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
He's on mute. Okay, fourth winner. So we've got one more win to go. Right. Happy Chondu from Namibia.
No, he is not. He's not here, but he won already once, but he's not here today.
Okay, he doesn't win today. Our final winner. We are still drawing for our final winner. Halima Kimani. Halima Kimani from Kenya. Halima?
I did not see her.
Okay, sorry, Halima. Lena Amwala. Lena,
Yeah.
are you here? Lena
Lena-
is here?
Lena is, yes, she struggled with the network. I saw she went in and out and in and out, but she told me before, I can't miss it today. I have to watch it again. And she is there. Maybe, I don't know if the
Lena,
internet
can
is
you
strong
hear
enough.
us?
Shem, I think she's even logged in twice. It means she's using two
No,
devices.
she logged in more than once. I could see that. Okay, so we'll give it to Lena because we saw that she really tried. Eh? All right, so our winners, Lena is in Namibia, isn't she? Detlef?
The name sounds Namibian, but
Okay, so
I'm not sure.
we've got a one winner from Namibia, one winner from South Africa, 2 from Kenya, and 1 from Germany. I will send you an email to get your addresses, and congratulations, everybody. And perhaps before I end, I just want to highlight that we're in the midst of the virtually, there's Everest Wangoya.
You see,
Everest, we're so sorry, you just missed. You were one of the winners, and unfortunately we had to draw again because you weren't in the house. Sorry. But maybe next time you'll be able to join us. I wanted to highlight that we're in the midst of a festival, and it's happening every day. Today is the second last day at 18 GMT, and that's 19 West African time in Abuja. That's 20 Southern African time. So South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Swaziland, etc. That's 2100 in East Africa, so Kenya. And we're going to have Angela Makolwa, and we will have her in conversation. She'll be with Melanie Rabe for Germany, and they will be in conversation with Pippa Goldschmidt. That's tonight, and our last panel will have Beata tomorrow at the same time. So thank you for everybody who's been logging in, and Detlef, let's have some music to leave.
yes, before we start the music, I also would like to say we not only have people from Namibia, South Africa, Kenya, and Germany, we also have Ghana in the house. And I don't know what other countries, I can't pitch up all the countries, but at least Ghana was also there.
I saw Nigeria as well. I think,
you see,
what's his name
Nigeria.
was there.
Yeah.
Can Goethe in Namibia invite me, please, for a physical event?
We'll see that. Why not? I will.
I'm shooting my shot.
Shoot your shot, girl.
Yes, yes.
I need to get out of this country with its bad electricity.
Yeah, you know, we get our electricity from South Africa as well.
That's why we don't have electricity. At least that's what we are doing. Yeah.
Okay, now well noted. I will remember that. Our planning for next year is not yet finished, so let's make a plan. No, but now we will, for our, that was our last virtually yours for this year. And we will see us again the second Saturday in February 2022. And yeah, we finish with Mushe and Tequila, 2 Namibian artists. And then I wish you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see us next year in February. So.
Thank you, everyone. See you next year.
Thank you.
I just wanna live my life. I
menante kutale Jeuli mutu abakala kokule Voina bahala nande nandebe kutale Mubatano hamujeke umwe Wenembe la dea Ekukwa fele Otori pulane kucha pofo veripe Malingonda bongela kwe verine Nafa shashofari te batopere Vere paife bolipo kabe kuete
Detlef, see you soon.
Yeah.
And have a lovely holiday and lovely December and enjoy the rest of the festival.
Yeah, you too. I'll see us this evening. Okay, and thank you very
Fantastic.
much, Nozizwe.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Rujeko,
much.
Tonde, everybody who was here.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Cheers. See you next year.
Bye-bye.
Don't do what I'm going to do.
Goodbye.